Hey guys, so we are going to be weighing in some refrigerant into our Santa Fe Sport 2015, and I want to demonstrate a way you can precisely weigh it in with a kitchen scale. Now we've already pulled a vacuum. We've had it pulled for 1 hour. And of course we need to go ahead and shut this off. Alrighty guys, so I had to replace the discharge hose on the compressor on the Santa Fe Sport 2015. We've got that replaced. We have our system vacuumed down, and right now we are waiting for our 15-minute wait so we can verify we have no more leaks. We've got our hot water ready. We have our kitchen scale, and I want to show you a method to accurately weigh in your refrigerant with a kitchen scale. All right guys, so before we start here, I've got my glasses on. I'm wearing some nitrile gloves. So we've already connected our refrigerant, and we've done the standard purge to purge the air out of our hose here at the little port here at the valve. So as soon as this weight is up, now I just want to say, if you are here at this video to diagnose or get advice on how to DIY repair your car, I'm not going to be able to help you with that. This is simply a informative video on how to precisely measure in your refrigerant, assuming you already know how to do all that properly, including not venting freon to the atmosphere, all that stuff. So this video is strictly about a precise method, as precise without using more precision tools, for weighing in your refrigerant using a kitchen scale. Now, on our car here, we have the factory weight, or of course R134A, 600 grams plus or minus 25. So we are definitely going to be within specs on that. So we will be that precise, I can assure you. So it looks like we are still holding here. Oh yeah, we're below 30 on our vacuum. Obviously these are off. We are ready to start introducing our refrigerant. So we have our can of refrigerant here. Now, the purpose of the hot water is obviously once you start introducing refrigerant into the vehicle, it is going to cool this can down, and when it gets cold, it stops boiling off, because that's what this liquid does. It boils off. That's how your refrigerant in your car works. So we're going to take this can and drop it in the hot water and stir it around. Just ensure you don't turn it upside down. We don't want to put liquid in because we're going to introduce it in the cold port. In fact, we're not going to even use the high pressure line at all. We're actually going to disconnect that, because what's going to happen if you recharge this AC system and you leave this attached, whether it's on or whether it's off, doesn't matter. What you're going to do is you're going to be running the car and filling it with refrigerant, and it's going to be pushing it up in this. And because it's high pressure, obviously it's going to be liquid, and you're going to recharge this with liquid unbeknownst and lose some of your weight. So the first step, once we ensure we are good, and we are, is to disconnect this high side. Now we are going to go ahead and bring it above vacuum before we do that. That's just how I like to do it. So as soon as I am complete with this weight, we're going to proceed. All right, guys, so we're ready to start. And the first thing we're going to do, make sure our refrigerant is ready to introduce. And we are going to open our low side and go ahead and bring this up above vacuum. Now this can's going to start getting really cold. So we're just going to drop it in our warm water here, which is going to make a big difference. Now we're going to just charge it slowly. All right. I want to show you the difference that this makes. If you'll watch the gauge here, we'll just set this can out here. Right now we're just bringing it up to can pressure, okay? All right, we have our low pressure side open all the way. It is now stopped. You see we have 30 psi. Now watch what happens when we put this in our hot water. Immediately it takes off. So using this hot water in this will ensure that you're not waiting forever for this to happen. You can see our pressure right now, it's building. Now we're going to go ahead and disconnect the high pressure side here because we don't want to lose any refrigerant in that. We're going to put our cap on here. Now because we're going to be using 2 cans, I'm not even going to weigh the first one because once this one's empty, I'll hook up the new can and we'll see what the difference is and determine how much we've already put in. So it's going to be about 22 ounces. This can is 12. We're going to go ahead and charge 1 can and then we're going to weigh the second because we know we have 12 ounces in there. All right, so we're going to start our vehicle up. Alrighty, so let's take a look at our pressure here. We got our AC running. Let's go ahead and slowly open our vapor line. And we're going to get this recharged. All right, here we go. All right. So as our can cools down, obviously our gauge is going to drop because right now that compressor is producing liquid. So we're going to drop our can in our hot water and get that refrigerant to start boiling off. Just stir it around, whatever you need to do. Just stir it around and get this can to boil off so we can have this one in there. Now we don't want to charge it too fast. We're just it's not very hot out here. It's actually borderline chilly, so Alright guys, so let's check our can. That's nearly gone. Continuing to allow it to charge. Now shaking it around. As I shake it around, I'll notice the gauge is hopping up. That's boiling that liquid off. Once that stops, then we know that our can's empty. All right, she's dropping down pretty good. Yeah, that can is now empty. Yep, I'm not producing any more out of that can. All right, we have an empty can. Now this is where our weighing will start. Now if you want to start with the first can, that's fine. We really only need to weigh the second can. What we're gonna do right now is find out the difference. All right, so now part of this is the fact that we're gonna have to hold this hose the same every time we weigh it, because you don't want to put pressure or pull it off the scale. So let's get our scale on. We have it in grams. I know it's dark out here, so you're not going to necessarily be able to see the weight, but like I said, the purpose of this video is to demonstrate a method to do it. Now, what I'm going to do is I need to make sure I hold this hose in a neutral state. Oops, my hose loosened up. I don't know how that happened. Okay, here we go. Now I can change that if I push on it. So we have to hold it in a very neutral state with our hose. I have 100 and let's come back here. Make sure it's in a very neutral state. 190 grams. Okay. I have 190 grams holding it right there. All right, now let's check what the difference is. We're going to shut our valves off. We got both valves off, and we're going to open our valve. This is not self-piercing. This has a sealing valve in it, so we're going to open it. Go ahead and take it off and put our new one on. Let's get this guy on here. And of course we're going to have a touch of air trapped in there. So what we're going to do is open our valve, and we're going to start by weighing our can again using the same method of holding the hose in a neutral position. Now if you remember, we were at 190 and now we were at 500. So all right guys, so we've got our new can on there, and if you recall, we had 190 grams before. We're going to do the same thing with our hose and hold it in a neutral state. We have right at 500 grams, okay? That means we have put 310 grams in already. And since we call for 600 plus or minus 25, we need 290 more grams. Okay. Now, we do need to ensure that little bit of air is purged. So let's do that right quick. All right, we've purged our air that we introduced putting the new can on. And we are still at 500 grams. Vapor doesn't weigh much. Okay. Now we are going to start charging off of this can. All right. All right, let's charge this guy up. So what we're looking to do is put in 290 grams. So essentially what we're going to have is, since we know the empty can on our scale weighed 190 grams, and we want 20 less grams introduced this time than we did last time. We need to stop charging when this assembly on this scale, holding it like we did before, weighs 210 grams. So once this weighs 210 grams on our scale, we will know that we have put 290 grams in it. Once again, we have our can in our hot water to keep it boiling off so it doesn't take forever. Of course, it's chilly out, so we don't want to feed it too fast. It has to compress this gas into a liquid. All right, let's kind of see where we're at. Our scale is turned off. So guys, what we're looking for, if you recall, is 210 grams. So once again, we need to make sure we are holding our hose in a neutral state. Okay, we're going to hold it just like that. We're at 345, so we have a little ways to go. Put it back in our hot water and can resume. Now, as I stated before, you do not want your high side connected, because if you do leave your high side connected, if you leave it connected, what you're going to be doing is pushing liquid into your gauge, and that's going to totally throw off your charge. So make sure you disconnect your high side. All right, let's see where we're at here. Knock our excess water off. And once again, we are going to ensure our can is in a neutral, our hose is in a neutral state, because that will affect it. We're at 260, so we have another 50 grams to go. Now, of course, this is plus or minus 25 grams, so we're going to shoot for dead on, which, you know, with the amount of error we have, which we obviously have some amount of error, but I can assure you it is more precise than plus or minus 25 grams. All right, guys, 220, roughly 220, 225. We are almost there. Make sure your water's off, and of course, keep your can upright. You don't want to. All right, guys, we're at 210. Let's shut this gauge off. Now let's take another measurement and make sure that it's where we want it. Make sure everything's in a neutral state when you set this on. Kind of holding our hose, making sure that feels neutral. We are right at 210 grams. So we have reached our 600 gram charge. We're going to call that good. We've got our gauge off. I'm going to turn our can off. And we're going to disconnect our can. See if there's any excess refrigerant in there. Nope. Take our can off. We just have obviously the tiniest bit in it. probably 20 grams. We could probably put it in, but like I said, we're shooting for precise, and that will allow us what little deviation we do have, whether we put a little extra in or a little less in. So we should be right on. And we have a suction side of 25 psi right now. It is probably 55 degrees out, so it's fairly cold. And this is also another reason to weigh in your refrigerant, because it doesn't matter what temperature it is. As long as you can get your air conditioning to run, you can get it in there and you can get the correct amount in there. So, alrighty guys, so of course we already put our high side cap on. Don't forget to put your cap on the cold side. Technically it is the cold side, but it's the low side, suction side. We have our caps on, and we'll wait for a hot day and see how well it works. Alrighty guys, so I hope this helped. Like I said, this video is not about diagnosing or repairing a problem. It's simply a method to precisely measure in your refrigerant using a kitchen scale. So, as I said earlier, this vehicle calls for 600 grams plus or minus 25. We are definitely within that. So, anyway, hope this helps. If this helped you, please like, subscribe, comment, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.